And this is a really fun tool that you can use to allow your customers to create easy designs for you to print. So we will have, Aaron will have his presentation for about half an hour or 20 minutes to half an hour, and then we will open it up for a Q&A session. So then we'll just let you type any questions you have about Sketch or about Flexi in general, just into the chat window at the bottom there. And Aaron will answer as many of those as we can. And then we will be recording today's webinar. So if you have to step out or you'd like to share this with someone else, we will be sending everyone a link to the recording when we post it to the SAI YouTube channel. And I think that's just about everything. So we'll turn it over to Aaron for Sketch.
All right, sounds good. So just as an introductory statement here, this particular feature is going to be available for anybody who has a subscription. So if you have a Flexi Designer subscription or a Flexi Flexi subscription, or if you're using the new Flexi Die subscription as well. So if you have a subscription, this will be available to you, and it's just going to be over here on the right-hand side in your cloud window, and this is SAI Sketch button right here. If you don't have this window open, you might just have it turned off, which you can easily get to by clicking on this little cloud icon here. It might be hidden by default. You can click on it and it'll pull it back up to get that window shown here. So what is SAI Sketch? Well, this is kind of a product that can be used both for yourself or even for a customer. But essentially what it does, it gives you a link to a website where you can go and design something and then submit a file. Now, all of this is tied to your SAI Cloud account. So emails and stuff like that will get generated from that. So let's just jump right in and start, and we'll kind of go over what basically what we want to show you here is when you click on this and you send a customer an email, what are they going to receive and what is it going to look like? So we're going to click on here, and this is kind of what you're going to get by default. It's just going to say, hey, who would you like to send the email to? And so I'm just going to throw in my email, so Aaron C at thinksai.com. I'm going to hit send, and I'm going to, I have it on my other monitor. I'm going to click on my email, and you're going to get an email that looks a lot like this. I'm going to pull it over here. So you're going to get an email that looks a lot like this. It's going to come from no reply at saicloud.com, and you're going to see this link. And all we have to do is then click on this, and it will go right to the Flexi Sketch. Now, the first time you open up the window, it's always going to provide you with a user interface, because most of the time it's assuming that this person has seen this customer's using it for the first time. They can skip through it or whatnot, but it kind of gives you kind of some of the quick things that they can do, shortcuts and things, and you'll kind of see this pop up as we go along. So we'll just hit skip for now. And you can see here that we have a fairly simple little user interface. We have a background here with some measurements and rulers in here. And essentially what we got here is a very simplified or very easy to use version of Flexi. And I'm going to make this full screen so it's a little easier for you guys to see. So we got a lot of our tools in here, so we can add in some text. Here's our thing again, so we're going to skip that. So let's just say we're going to make a little sign here, so we can throw, you've got these little windows just like you typically would in Flexi, so it kind of uses that cue, but this is kind of like a Design Central. So I'm going to hit Edit Text, and then I'm going to grab this and delete it and just say Bob's Best Signs. And I can do several things to that. So I'm going to maybe change the font to something else. I can grab this and I can move it over like that if I want a bigger bounding box. I can use these handles if I want to rotate it a little bit or slant it. I can also put in, you know, manual degree changes and whatnot in here. So this is kind of the whole tool suite over here. So you've got all the typical stuff that you'd want. So centering, bold, italics, uh, um, coloring. We can go red on this. We can do all kinds of things here to this text. We can do alignment stuff. We can also change, hey, whether it needs to go up a layer, down a layer. It's actually a pretty in-depth little application that we're using here. We can use, we've got our control, copy, trash. If we need to throw something away, we can zoom in. We can do a little zoom out action here so we can see things better. We've got a grid. So if you want to do something on a grid, you could do that. You can even snap things to a grid. We can actually have you import images. So if the user has like a picture or something that they want to import, we do have an image gallery already. But if you have your own image, you can either drag and drop it, which let's see here, got an image that we can pull in. So let's just say we want to copy that in here. It'll just upload it, and then you can click to import that file, and now you've got an image in here. And so now we could put that in here, and you can see that it's going to maintain those layers and whatnot. So we might want to, send this back a couple layers or something. So layer, send it to the back. So now we've got our text on top of there. So we got a section for shapes, so we can draw some lines, and we can grab this. Again, same as before, we can change the color, we can add a stroke to it, we can define the thickness of the stroke. A really powerful tool in terms of what you can do, with this software, with this little piece of software. And again, we can, move this to the front, so it's all the way up at the front. We can move this around here. So we'll just put this under here and kind of put that there. We can do all kinds of things. Again, if we click on, for example, the hexagon here, I can move it around. Oh, it looks like it added something, so I'm just going to get rid of that. If I select it, again, our little Design Central style box here has all the settings for this particular object. So my stroke, my fill color, I can put that in here. Maybe I'll go, something wild like green or something, and I can increase the stroke thickness. Then I can manually adjust the height here by either X and Y or values here. So by pixel or by inches or millimeters, depending on what your units are. So we've got all kinds of different options for shapes, different things like that, and they just are automatically added in. You can also use your keyboard to delete stuff. We can throw in a background. This is kind of interesting. So this will fill in the entire background. So we've got a nice little background there that we can either do some different things to. So let's see here. If we click on the background, I can adjust the background, so I can zoom into that background and maybe move it around if I want to. So maybe I want to move it up like this and adjust that. So I can zoom it in a little bit. I can rotate it if I want, so it comes to the side. So I can do all kinds of stuff. This is kind of a powerful little tool. And then I also got a little section for clip art. So we've got some different things in here. These are kind of just general type stuff, and we've got things that you can add in. So kind of a unique little powerful tool. Like I said, it's built to be super simple and easy to use so that anybody could kind of pick it up and use it. And so that that makes it kind of simple. And so now that, let's just say, for example, let's just grab our sign here, and this doesn't look like that much of a sign really, but let's just take a preview. So when you do a preview here, this is going to give you a low resolution preview that they can kind of look at and say, okay, this is what my final product is going to be, without having to look at all their toolbars and stuff like that. So they can kind of look at it one last time before they hit continue. Next step is it gets to this location right here. Now we can put in our information. So this would be the user that you sent this to would put their information in here. And so you can say, well, my name is Bob here, my address, we'll just put something in. And we can put in our email address. So, I don't know, I might put in Bob at bobsbestsigns.com. I can put a number for my phone if I want to be reached. And then I can put in some comments like, this is not the best, but maybe if you have some ideas, help me out. All right. So, this could be used as an idea generator. It could be, hey, maybe they want this exact thing. Either way, I can hit continue. And from here, this is essentially going to give me a window saying, hey, your file's been submitted. You're ready to go. And from here, I'm going to minimize this window. We're going to go back into Flexi. I'm also going to minimize this email. And there's two ways that you're going to be able to find out about this email that you've received. So the first way is that whatever email address that you have assigned to your cloud account, you're going to get a little email address or an email that says, hey, by the way, you just got an email and it has a file attached to it. Go check your cloud account and you'll find your file. So sure enough, you'll get an email. And then if you check under files, you'll see that I did another one here earlier today. And then here's the one that I just created. So I can delete previous files if I want to, and that gets rid of them off of the cloud. Or I can hit download now. So let's go ahead and download this file. And essentially what this does is that this will actually just download it straight from the internet to your desktop. So you're going to see probably a window that looks similar to this. So I'm going to hit save, and I'm just going to choose the desktop, and we'll call it sketch file. And we're just going to save it to the desktop. Once it's finished, I'm going to hit close. And now I can either take that file and import it back into Flexi, or I could send it straight to Production Manager to print it, or I could email that file, do whatever I want to it. So in this case, I'm just going to go to import, and I'm going to pull up the sketch file, and we'll just take a look at this file and see what it comes in. Now, I didn't have the font for this that I used, so that's why it asked me about the if I wanted to use convert it to strokes or to arcs or to outlines, sorry. So now I can take a look at it, and this is a full editable PDF. It will come in with a mask, so I'm just going to unmask it right off the bat, but because it was masking off some of these stuff on the edge. But now I can come in here, and this is it shows you all of the background graphics and everything. So I can click on this background and remove it if I want to. I guess I have to ungroup. I guess that will help. So I can pick out my background. I could pick out the letters. I can come in here and ungroup this and actually select individual pieces in here and modify them if I need to, move lines. So this is a completely vector file that now you can edit, make changes to as necessary once you start that communication with the customer. So this is kind of a unique tool that you can use to send somebody a drawing space and get them to use that. One other thing that we want to look at, and the reason why, is we're going to do a quick connection here with my phone. And what this is going to do, you can use this with any iOS device or Android device. So this link is not just tied to your computer. So, for example, let me get this set up here. There we go. All right, so I'm going to minimize. I'm going to pull this little window over so you guys can see it here. So here is the tool. So I just clicked on the same link with my mobile phone, and now I've got it right up in here. It's a little bit different. You're going to see some things like you've got the menu up here. You've got a little hand that you can use to move around in. I can zoom out a little bit if I need to so I can see the whole artwork page. I have the same exact tools, so I can add some new text, and I can type in here, same as before, Bob's Best Signs, and I can scroll down a little bit, and then I can change my font. So everything that I had before is available here right on my mobile phone. And so I could use this with an iPad. I could use this, with my Android tablets or anything like that that would support this kind of web browser experience. So kind of unique. What I was thinking about myself was that you could actually send yourself a link to this and have it in your email. And if you wanted to go home and you have an iPad or a big tablet at home that has touchscreen, you could actually just take this, click on the link, and you could design right from your iPad. I think that this would, it works pretty well with your finger and the touch controls and whatnot. You could easily edit with your fingers, or if you had like an Apple Pencil or some kind of stylus, you could do that as well. So I could do everything that I really wanted to do, same as before, right from my mobile phone. So this is way cool. I can add shapes in here just like we were showing before. I can click and move this around, make it a little bit bigger, position it. So I can do all this from my mobile phone. I can add clip art. I can do anything I want in here. I can click on this object, and then I can come down here. I can change the color, click OK, and I can do all that right from my mobile phone. So way, way powerful to use. And I think that you guys might even find this really helpful is if you just wanted to mess around a little bit at home, just maybe jot some ideas down and just kind of get something that you have in your head, maybe on paper, so that when you go back to work tomorrow, you can kind of finalize and fix a design. Sometimes it's nice just having something simple that you can just throw some ideas on paper so that you don't forget about it, and then you can just send it to yourself, and it'll show up in your file when you get to work. So we think this is a really powerful tool, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Like I said, it's super easy to use. Just send an email out. The customer gets an email, or you get an email. Click on the link, and boom, you're ready to go. You're already right there, and snap just like that. So pretty cool. Do you guys have any questions on how to use the sketch tool, or any other questions about Flexi for that matter?
All right, so it looks like we do have quite a few questions to start things off.
Okay.
The first one from Wes says, how to get Sketch.
Okay, so if you're wanting to get Sketch, let me move this out of the way for a moment. So if you're in Flexi, or one of your Flexi subscriptions, what you're going to do is you're going to come into the software and go to your cloud page. So open up this little cloud pane, and if you're on a subscription, you should see this little SAI sketch button. And when you click on it, it gives you the place where you can put an email in. And from what I understand, these links don't really expire. And so, for example, I was able to send one to myself earlier today, and I was able to use it multiple times. And so it's not too big of a deal to use, send yourself an email and then just keep clicking on that same link multiple times. But that's how you get to it.
All right. Now I have a couple people that were wondering is this available to anyone with any version of Flexi, or who is this available for?
So this is going to be available for Flexi Flexi subscription users. So this is the feature that we've introduced in the latest 19 version, which if you have a subscription, you should be able to get access to it there. If you have an older version, but you're still on a subscription, you might see it pop up, but if you don't see it, best case scenario is to get on a subscription or get the latest version of your subscription. One thing to note is that this is not available in the non-subscription model. So if you have a permanent license, then this probably will not appear. It won't show up in this window here. As well, some of these other things that you see in here might not show up if you're not on a subscription.
Okay, but if they say they do have a traditional Flexi license, they could get a Flexi Designer subscription, for example.
Correct.
And then they would be able to use Sketch with their Flexi Designer, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, wonderful.
And since it's tied to the cloud account, then it'll be tied to that whole system. So
they can use it from any of their Flexi licenses if they have at least one active subscription. Perfect.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, someone else was wondering, can you specify the size of the artboard?
Yes. So let's pull up. Do I still have that window up here? Okay. So hold on. Let me go back and click on that email real quick here, and we'll just reload so you can see that this email link does work multiple times. So let's see here. So we have an 8, and that's up here in the top right or top left-hand corner. Sorry. So I can go, 30 by 30, apply. And now I've got a 30 by 30 space here. And I'll zoom out so we can see that. There we go. So now we're at 30 inches by 30 inches down here. And then you can choose your units, whether you're feet, inches, or centimeters in here.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Paul wanted to know if you can do outlines and shadows.
All right, so let's just add a simple shape here. And let's make the fill something other than white. Now the question is, where did it go? I'm going to go back to a smaller workspace just in case it's throwing it somewhere. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. It was putting it way up here. Let's delete that for a second. And okay, so we can add a stroke or an outline around it, but it does not look like we can do a shadow. I think a shadow is one of the things that it probably cannot do, but we can define opacity though. So if you wanted to make this opaque, we can also do that here. So no shadows, but we can do strokes or outlines, and you can make the object transparent.
Okay, perfect. Let's see here. We covered how to get the link. Vaughn asked, how do you access a customer's design once it has been emailed?
Once they've emailed it, once they've emailed it to you, it will show up in your files button. So you'll get an email notification saying, hey, you've got a new design waiting for you. You can just click on files, and it'll show you the most recent files that have been submitted in here. And so you can come in here and just click download now, and it will download to your PC, and then you can just import it into Flexi. Okay. And these come out as PDFs. So, and they're, for the most part, if you put in vector artwork, so for example, the nice thing about this is that the text and the shapes and all this is vector, except for some of the backgrounds are predefined backgrounds are all vector artwork. But if you import a PNG, obviously that's not going to be or a JPEG, that's not going to be vector, but as much as possible, it does try to save those as a PDF in a vector format if it can.
Okay, excellent. Let's see. Adrian asked if will upload this to YouTube, and yes, we are recording the webinar, so we'll get that uploaded to our SAI YouTube channel as soon as we're done here, and you can go back and review it and follow along, or send the link to anyone else that would benefit from it. Let's see. Someone asked if can it be loaded with customers' files?
So it will always be preloaded with a blank screen. More the original intent was to have a customer start from scratch. So unfortunately, you can't add a customer's file to it necessarily. But you can import, if you're on a PC at home or something like that, you can import images and different pieces like I did here into it. So it will take external files, but it's not going to take like an FS file or something like that. It'll take JPEG, PNG, GIF, PDF, or SGV or SVG files. So theoretically, I suppose if you had a Flexi file, you saved it as a PDF on your desktop or something, you could theoretically import that entire PDF right to the file. So I mean that would definitely be possible, I'd imagine. So that might be something you could do, but it's not going to import a Flexi file natively.
Okay. And let's see here. Oh, can you mask with this program?
Can I mask? Let's see here. I do not believe so. Let me just see here. I kind of think that is a no, but let's pull in this image just to see if I arrange this to the front and I select both of these. It does not look like it, no. So I don't think I can
Okay.
mask.
But that's something you could put there, and then once you import it into Flexi, then you could take care of
The mask,
the
right?
masking. Okay. Okay. This one's a little unrelated, but Andrew was wondering, how can I get one-on-one Flexi designer training?
Good question. So, and this is a great question. So we offer now one-on-one training, and the way that you can find that is if we go back to our webpage, we go to www.thinksai.com, and we go to support, go to Flexi or En-route, either one, and then just click on training and events. And then if you just click on this link here, it will give you the pricing, and also it'll give you a form that you can fill out, and that goes right to our sales guys, and they will get in contact with you about training. So the way that the training works is it's one-on-one. We can do whatever topics that you like. So if you need some beginner entry-level stuff, we can do that. Or if you want more workflow, we can do that. If you have some files that you'd like us to kind of work on, we can also do that with enough advance. So if you send us the files in advance, we can kind of take a look at them and get ready. And then what we do is we record the entire thing, just like we do the webinars here. And at the end, we will send you the link so that you can download it and have it forever. And so we think that this is really valuable to you guys. And we think that you guys will be able to use this a lot. So anything that we talk about recorded and it gets sent to you. And we offer those in 2 and 4 hour blocks. And we do 1 hour sessions. So that's where you can find out about some of that training and everything.
I have a couple questions about fonts. Can you add fonts to Sketch?
Let's see. I kind of think it has a. That's a good question. I'm not sure if the fonts are a fixed list, or if this actually pulls from.
So it looks like a pretty short list. I think you've
I
got
think it
more.
is a pretty short list. That's a good question. I'll have to find out about that. I don't think you can natively, since it's not pulling it uh, from the Windows fonts folder. But it is one of those things where you can put this font in, and then so you could use a generic font. So if you were doing something like a design that you intended to go onto your PC later, Flexi, and then edit this again, I would just use a generic font, and then you could just substitute that font when you import the PDF in. It would be really easy just to select the text, change it in Flexi, and that would be it. But it would be interesting to see if we add some. I'm sure we'll eventually over time add more fonts as time goes on and as we use this tool. So
Okay. And that actually relates to Ryan's question. He said, are there plans to add more backgrounds and fonts in the future? And
I would
also, are there
imagine
any
so.
plans? Sorry. Okay. And are there any plans for a revision type workflow for back and forth with the customer?
That's a good question.
Say you could use this for them to send you the initial design, and then you could use the artwork approval tool for them to make further
Make a
comments.
further comments, yeah. So that would be the perfect way to tie into that. So once they've submitted the initial file, uh, and let's say you've made a few comments and changes, you can use the artwork approval tool, which you would access right from here, and it kind of essentially does the same or a similar thing. You click here, and it will send the file to the customer, except for it actually creates a link similar to here. It creates a link where if when the user clicks on it, it takes them to a different user interface where they can't really edit the file as much, but they can circle things and make comments and highlight and say, oh, I want this, or oh, hey, you know what, this is spelled wrong, or things like that, and they can make comments and send it back to you, and then you get like a little snapshot of the changes that they wanted, and then you could make those adjustments. So this would be a very good way to dovetail right into the send to approval tool.
Okay, so yeah, you can use the two of them together. Perfect. And actually, Paul had a question about the send to approval tool. He said sometimes when I send a proof using the send to approval tool, the artwork comes to my client really small. Do you know what would cause that?
Um, It could be several different things, but if we were to send a file, it could be the magnification of the browser. So if they're, for example, if we go back to our page here, if I hit Control and use my scroll wheel, it could be that their browser settings are really small like this. So it depends on how they have the magnification on their browser set. That could be part of it. So we'd have to kind of maybe see uh, if they do have it large and they're still getting a size issue, that might be something we would want to have our tech support look at and find out if there's something going on there with specific browsers maybe or something. So that might be something we could look into. So try that. Make sure that their magnification on the browser is set high or high enough so that they can see it. And if it is already, then maybe we can have our tech support take a look at it and give them a ring, and we can kind of troubleshoot it and see if there's something going on there with the website or something.
Okay, perfect. Okay, looks like we've got a handful more questions. Okay, this is a popular one, but someone said, "Can you do gradients?"
Gradients. It does not look like you can, at least not in the moment. But that is something that if you guys are using this tool and you have feedback for us, let us know. You don't have to necessarily call us to tell us. You can actually just send us an email, and And I'll just put that up here on screen real quick here. So let's just say, if you want to email a suggestion, you can go to esupport@thinksai.com. So, hey, if you have like an idea, like for example, the gradients thing, if you just had an idea and say, hey, I think I'd really like gradients in here, send us a message at esupport and say, hey, I think it would be a really great idea for a new suggestion for the sketch tool if we could add gradients. And so, that might be in the next release or something. So if you have ideas like this, as you guys are using it, please send it to us. We'd be glad to hear from you. And then we'll send these on to development. And because if people are getting excited about using this tool, we'll definitely want to try and add more features to it for sure.
Okay. And let's see here. Tanya said, in reference to the PDF saving or downloading, so you're basically sending your customer vector artwork to take anywhere they want?
They can't download the PDF. When they hit submit or when they hit continue, the PDF only goes to you. The artwork approval tool does not send them a full resolution image. And so when you send something to the artwork approval tool, for example, in there, they could technically right click on it and download it, but it's going to be a JPEG and it's going to be very low quality. So unfortunately, yes, they can do it, but it's going to be super low quality. So they would have to pay somebody else to redesign it again if they really wanted to. So there's a little bit of a toss up there. The nice thing is about in here is they cannot save this file to a local file. When they save it or when they hit through the process, they have to send it and it goes through the email and it gets back to you. So this PDF will come to you, not anybody else.
Okay, perfect. And I think in regards to the PDF download, Joseph asked why not have it be a Flexi native file?
I think the reasoning there is we want this to be able to much more easily and compatible or easily be compatible with a one-step process. So you could take that PDF and immediately submit it straight to Production Manager, which a Production Manager can take an FS file too, but PDF sometimes are more recommended. PDF is also a much more flexible format for us to be able to use on an online type thing like this. And then the other thing would be if you were going to send it to somebody else, it's already nice. So if you were just using this as a design tool and you were outsourcing your printing or whatever, you could just send this to somebody without having an extra step of having to import it into Flexi, export it as a PDF, and then send it. So there's several reasons there, but I think those are kind of the main ones that we're probably thinking about. It's a much more universal format that's a lot easier to handle if you were sending it somewhere else to another person or whatnot.
Okay. And Houston said that he got here late and just wanted to know the general workflow intent. And yes, Houston, you're right. This is for customers doing a initial drawing of what they want in the design, so they can make up their own design and then they can send it to you and you can download it and tweak it and polish it up and work with them to make it look really nice.
Yep, correct.
And he asked if they can annotate or add dimensions.
The only thing that I could say about annotations would be you'd probably just have to edit some text to add annotations. There's not a specific annotate option here. And what was the other one? Annotate and what?
Add dimensions.
Oh, add dimensions.
So
And no, there's not dimensions in here either. So those are some things that weren't necessarily added, but those are all ideas that we could definitely add in. So some of that stuff we'll send to development and have them see what they think about something like that.
Annotations and dimensions. Excellent. Thank you, Houston. Oh, we have a comment from Mitchell that says that on the iOS 13.3 version, there is no send once your design is finished. Could you pull up your phone?
Yeah, let's see here. So let me get it connected here again. My little app here disconnected since we didn't use it in a little bit. Okay, so if let's take a look here. So I'm going to hit continue in the top right-hand corner, and let's see here. Oh yeah, it does look like it's not there. Let's see. Let's enter in some information here first. Let's see, Bob at .com, and
Number.
just make sure that we have a number in there, and let's say hi and return. Oh, you know what? That is a good. Looks like it's not available. That's interesting. So either let's just rotate it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I will mention this to them. So it looks like when you're in the portrait view like this, it might be hidden right down in here somewhere underneath this banner. But if you flip it sideways, it looks like it's there. So I will mention this to development, have them take a look at that. So hey, that's a good catch. So yeah, we'll definitely send that to development, have them take a look at it. Looks like that little button there is just missing. So yeah, good catch.
Okay, thank you, Mitchell. We appreciate it. We will get that fixed. Okay, and Kelly said, when open into Flexi, is the copy outlined or curved, or is it editable?
That's a good question. I think,
So when you
did
get
I
the file from
apply?
your customer.
Let's see here. Let's put a. So technically, these aren't outlines, but they're just strokes. But let's see how this goes. Let's just hit continue. Let me. I don't know if it'll let me send it with no information. Okay, well, all right. Let's go back in here. We refresh, download, and then we'll take a look and see what the outline shows here. That's fine. File import. So I'm going to unmask it because it does that by default. So it removes everything else. Then I need to ungroup. And let's zoom in here. Take a look at this. So it looks like that is it actually does treat it as an outline. So even though it's called a stroke inside of the previewer, it's actually a separate element, which is kind of nice. So that way you can actually grab that element separately and modify it. So, yep.
Okay, and what about the fonts? Are they converted to?
In my case, they are all converted into strokes. So if you saw me when I imported that file, so I'll close it again and import that PDF. Essentially what's happening here is I don't have the font that I used in there, which I think was some weird font. So essentially what it does here is you get this little window that says import text as paths. And what that just does is it converts it from text to lines and arcs. So once you import it in, technically that text is no longer text, so you really can't edit it. But I mean, you could change the sizing and things like this, but I can't edit it like I could traditionally with text anymore. I would have to retype it. So if you do have a vast font library, it might not be a bad idea if you're going to use this tool a lot, just to go ahead and have these fonts that are in this list right on file. Might let me go back maybe. Yeah, let's go back.
So
So
if
this list
you,
of fonts, I would just have these fonts handy, which fonts these days are fairly cheap. You can get packages of thousands of fonts, but as long as you had some of these, and there's not a huge list, like so as long as you had all these fonts in your fonts folder, when you import the PDF, it won't give you that message. It'll just say, "Oh, I've already got that font. I know what to do with it." So I just don't have very many fonts on my PC, and so none of these I have except for maybe Arial. And so when it brings it in, it doesn't know what to do with it, so it automatically just converts it to lines and arcs.
okay. All right, looks like we're just about out of time here. So let me see if I saw a couple people asking about images. So if you upload a background image, can the end user see it and use it
They can
in the
see it, but
images
they
portion?
really so they can see it. For example, if I click on a background, I can upload my own background, or I can click on any one of these backgrounds. Now the user can edit it to a certain degree, so they can like zoom in or zoom out, position it differently. You can fit it to canvas. You can rotate it. So you can do a few little things. You can edit some of it. You can do a little bit of cropping, it looks like. So you can do some things to it, but you can't really save it to your computer at all. So it doesn't really allow them to grab all of these clip arts, for example, and then use them on their own computer and take the artwork. It doesn't work that way. So
So about uploading the background, if you click that option to upload background there, that's what the customer would be able to upload their own image,
correct. Yep.
right?
So just
Would it
like I
save it to
did,
this image gallery?
that's a good question. So let's just take the stars one, and it does not look like it. Um, so this is coming from a um, now it remembered it from the last time, so it does keep it
Mhm.
in here. Um, it also has your images, it looks like. So if you imported multiple files, it will keep them kind of in tab here. So if you're importing and doing a ton of stuff, you could do that. Now, let me just check. Let's do this. Let's close all my browser windows here, and yeah, we want to leave the site. And I'm going to go back to my email again. I'm going to click on that link. And now that I've gone away and come back to it, let's see if it holds that. Okay, so it did uh, keep this. Now that might just be because um, it's on, Google Chrome or my browser kind of helped save that. But I would imagine that as long as you're on the same computer, it looks like it might try and keep it as much as possible. So it seems like it. If you're accessing it from the same device, I bet you that's probably what it is. If I were to try and go to a different device, like say my phone, for example, I could go back and check that real quick and see. If I go back to my phone and I click on background and I say upload a background, yeah, okay, so it looks like it is device dependent. So I went to my
Okay.
phone and this purple didn't appear. So it is kind of device dependent. So if you accessed it with the same device, it's a very good possibility that you would keep it there and it would keep coming back. But if you went to a different device, then it wouldn't.